Bob Dylan has been making music on his own terms for 60 years. He went electric at Newport, and people booed. He found God, and people were confused. He released an album of Frank Sinatra covers, and people didn't know what to do with that either. So it should not be surprising that in the middle of his long hot summer tour 2026, with no press release, no official statement, no social media announcement of any kind, he quietly replaced both of his longtime touring guitarists. One of them posted 2 words on Facebook before he left. Sayonara Bobby. That's it, 2 words. And then he was gone. This is the most Bob Dylan story that has ever happened, and it involves a jazz virtuoso, a Chicago blues master, a scheduling conflict in New York, and one night in Austin where Dylan had 0 guitarists and had to find one by morning. Let's go through it. Bob Dylan is 85 years old. He is on tour. Not a nostalgia tour, not a greatest hits package designed for audiences who want to hear the songs the way they remember them. Bob Dylan on tour in 2026 is what Bob Dylan on tour has always been: services 2 ways, an artist doing exactly what he wants with his own catalog, in his own way, at his own pace, with minimal concern for what anyone expects. He has been touring continuously, with occasional breaks, since 1988. What started as the never-ending tour has become simply the way Bob Dylan exists in the world. He plays shows, he moves on, he plays more shows. His current band, before the chaos of June 2026, with K, had been a stable, well-rehearsed unit. Tony Garnier has been playing bass with Dylan since 1989. Anton Fig is on drums. And on guitar, Dylan had been working with 2 long-tenured players, Bob Britt and Doug Lancio. Both Britt and Lancio were experienced, reliable, deeply familiar with Dylan's music and his particular approach to performing it. And then, in the span of 12 days, both of them were gone. The first change happened on June 17th in Santa Barbara. Doug Lancio, who had been part of Dylan's touring band, was simply no longer there. No announcement, no farewell post, no official explanation. In his place, Julian Lage. If you follow jazz guitar at all, naturally Savinci, you know that name. If you don't follow jazz guitar, here is the short version. Julian Lage is widely regarded as one of the most gifted guitarists of his generation. He has recorded and toured extensively as a solo artist and with his own groups. He is technically brilliant, harmonically sophisticated, and musically curious in the way that Dylan, throughout his career, has consistently sought in his collaborators. The pairing made a certain kind of sense if you were paying attention to who Dylan gravitates toward and why. For a few shows, the lineup worked, Lage and Bob Britt splitting guitar duties, the band finding its footing with the new configuration, and then Bob Britt left. On June 27th, Bob Britt posted on Facebook, 2 words, Sayonara Bobby. That was the entire announcement. No elaboration. No explanation, no detail about what happened or why. Just a farewell to Bobby, chapters to section. As in Bob Dylan, Duen, Thier, and then silence. The internet, predictably, lost its mind. Sayonara Bobby became immediately iconic in the specific way that cryptic musician departures become iconic. The ambiguity is the point. It carries everything. A relationship that existed, an ending that occurred, a relationship to the departure that is not angry enough to be a statement but just pointed enough to be noticed. Bob Britt had been with Dylan long enough to know exactly how much those 2 words would say, and he chose them anyway. What happened between Britt and Dylan? So, what specifically prompted the departure, whether it was musical, personal, logistical, or some combination, has not been publicly explained. The cryptic Facebook post is the entirety of the public record. In a different kind of band, that departure would have triggered a press cycle. Statements from management, carefully worded explanations from publicists. This is Bob Dylan's band. There was no statement. There was Sayonara Bobby on Facebook and then a scheduling problem. Here is where the story becomes genuinely remarkable. After Britt's departure, Dylan had one guitarist, Julian Lage. And then came June 29th, Austin, Texas. Lage had a pre-existing solo commitment in New York that he could not cancel. He was booked, he had to go. Which left Bob Dylan, on the night of a scheduled concert in Austin, with 0 guitarists. Think about that logistically. The show is happening, the venue is booked, the audience is coming, and the guitar chair, which had been occupied by 2 experienced players just 2 weeks earlier, is now completely empty. What does Bob Dylan do? He finds someone. Joel Patterson, a Chicago-based blues and jazz guitarist, got the call. The kind of call that musicians dream about and dread simultaneously. Come play with Bob Dylan, tonight, in Austin. Patterson is not a household name in the mainstream, but within the world of blues and jazz guitar he is a serious seasoned player. The kind of musician who has the range and the instincts to step into an unusual situation and figure it out. He stepped in. He played the Austin show solo, why note of the Scrates, the only guitarist on the stage that night. And apparently, it worked. Julian Lage came back. On July 6th, at a show in Shakopee, Minnesota, Lage rejoined the tour. He and Joel Patterson took the stage together as the new two-guitar configuration. The band as it currently exists is a 5-piece quintet. Bob Dylan on electric keyboard and harmonica, Julian Lage on electric guitar, Joel Patterson on electric guitar and slide guitar, Tony Garnier, the longest-serving member, there since 1989, on electric and stand-up bass, Anton Fig on drums. That is the band. Not the band that started the long hot summer tour. Not the band that was playing in May. The band that emerged from 12 days of chaos, one cryptic Facebook post, one emergency Austin substitution, and one jazz virtuoso with a prior commitment in New York. It is, by all accounts of people who have seen the current configuration perform, genuinely good. Here is the thing about this story that gets lost in the timeline of personnel changes. Bob Dylan has been doing this for 60 years. He has never managed his career the way the music industry expects artists to manage careers. He went electric when folk purists demanded he stay acoustic. He toured with the Grateful Dead. He recorded Christmas music. He accepted a Nobel Prize in Literature and did not immediately go to Stockholm to collect it. He operates by his own logic, and his own logic, consistently applied across 6 decades, is this: the music is what matters. The configuration that serves the music right now is the right configuration. What came before is what came before. Doug Lancio is gone. No announcement. Bob Britt left and said Sayonara Bobby on Facebook. No response from Dylan's camp. Julian Lage had to go to New York. Joel Patterson was available. The show in Austin happened, and now Julian Lage and Joel Patterson are the guitar duo, and Tony Garnier is still there as he has been since 1989, and Anton Fig is on drums, and Bob Dylan is playing electric keyboard and harmonica, and doing exactly what he wants with the songs he has spent a lifetime writing. This is not chaos. This is Bob Dylan. Julian Lage deserves more than a passing mention. He is 36 years old. He was a child prodigy, rambunctious performing at the Grammy Awards at age 8, featured in a documentary about his early musical development. He studied at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and then at Berklee College of Music. His solo career has produced a series of critically acclaimed records that sit at the intersection of jazz, country, and American folk music, an artistic space that is, in retrospect, almost perfectly aligned with what Bob Dylan's music has always been doing beneath the genre labels the music industry has applied to it over the decades. Lage brings harmonic sophistication and an improvisational instinct to the guitar chair that is different from what a traditional rock or country guitarist brings. His presence changes the texture of the music. Joel Patterson is equally interesting from a different angle. A Chicago musician with deep roots in blues and western swing and jazz, the kind of player who has internalized multiple American guitar traditions and can move between them fluidly. Together, two guitarists from adjacent but distinct musical worlds, brought together by one man's departure and one scheduling conflict and one emergency Austin show, they form something that nobody planned, but that seems, from early accounts, to be working. Here is what the Sayonara Bobby moment actually represents. Bob Britt played with Bob Dylan long enough to have accumulated years of shared history, one with of share, the shows, the rehearsals, the travel, the specific experience of being in a band that is also, always, a Bob Dylan band, where the artist at the center is not just famous but genuinely singular, where the music you are playing every night is not just a set list but a catalog that spans 60 years of American life. And when it ended, for whatever reason, all Bob Britt said goodbye in 2 words. Not bitterly, not with a press tour of grievance, not with a tell-all interview. Sayonara Bobby. And then silence. That kind of departure, cryptic, brief, tinged with something unspoken, is the kind that says more by what it doesn't say than by what it does. Something happened. The relationship ended. And the person who experienced it chose 2 words on Facebook and then moved on. Bob Dylan presumably moved on the same day, because there was a show in Austin and no guitarists and someone needed to make a call. That is, in miniature, the entire Bob Dylan philosophy of movement. The caravan keeps moving, the music keeps happening, the personnel change and the songs remain. Bob Dylan has been on tour, in some form, since 1988. He has played with hundreds of musicians. He has changed band configurations more times than anyone has counted. He has made decisions about his live performances that have puzzled, frustrated, delighted, and occasionally infuriated the people who love his music. And in June 2026, Solivork, in the middle of a summer tour, without a press release or an official statement of any kind, and he replaced both of his guitarists. Lost one to a scheduling conflict, found a substitute in Austin by morning, got his original replacement back 6 days later. And now he has Julian Lage and Joel Patterson, and Tony Garnier, who has been there since 1989, and Anton Fig on drums, and Bob Dylan at the keyboard, playing harmonica, doing exactly what he has always done. The long hot summer tour continues. Sayonara Bobby, and the caravan moves on. Let me know what you think.